What is going on YouTube? It is Devin the Day Trader here coming at you with another market recap video for the day. So today is another very slow day in the stock market, surprisingly. ETRM has been running for the past 3 days in a row, and I feel like it is taking a lot of attention off of the other stocks. And ARIA is just, I think, a buyout, so it hasn't really done much since the open. It's up 73% as well. But today we're going to be just reviewing ETRM, and this is just a massive short squeeze. And if you guys look at the daily chart here, just 1, 2, 3 days in a row of just pure price action. So looking at the daily chart right away, I can see a descending triangle. And I don't know if I noticed or mentioned this in my last video, but this is just a very good descending triangle. Obviously, once again, it's just had this massive reverse split here, so that's how come it says that it was valued at over like $2,000 at one point. So again, another very trashy stock to fly on news. And I'm going to probably try to address the questions that everybody's been having recently. And is ETRM going to be the new DRYS? As you guys know, DRYS is another stock that ran from about, I think, $4 all the way to 120 and then back all the way down to $3. And if you look, it's a very similar chart. You know, it's got 4 days of spiking and then it's got one big massive red day. If you look at ETRM again, it's got, I'm not really going to count that as the first day of a spike, it's only 30 cents, but it's got 1, 2, 3 days of spiking, so it might have another one left in it, but I'm not really going to chance that and gamble away my money, hoping that this stock will turn into another DRYS, because we're not here to gamble, we're here to trade predictable chart patterns. But I mean, it potentially could. This could potentially be the next DRYS. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to run all the way up to $100, because each stock has their own little niche to it, and DRYS was just such a massive short squeeze anyways. But if you look at the float, they're both relatively low float, so that means they could run really quick. They had good news on them. They were both down here at that $2, $3 level. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if this still has another day left of spiking in it. So let's review over the 1 minute chart here for the day. So this is very predictable trading here. Now, if I take away these lines, it makes it so much harder to trade this stock, because as you can see, it opened at 11, it ran up to 12, dropped back down to 11, ran back up to 12, dropped back down. So if you're new to trading, you would probably be so confused as to what is going on. I didn't have a position in this because my account is only $1,300, so this is already way past my price range. I mean, I would only be able to buy 100 shares of this. And I'm not going to risk that, because if it turns around on me, then I'm out. I'm out for 3 days because my cash has to settle. It's not a margin account. So that just makes it so much more difficult to trade with. So first thing that I noticed, it ran up nicely. Ran up to 12.28 and then it bounced back down to 11. So that's a good first support line. You know, it opened at about 11.45. It came back down to 11, and then we got a nice push to 12.36, and then it came back down. And then it touched that 11 mark again, where that candle bottomed out. And then we had just a beautiful run. We had 12.75 as resistance at one point, probably about like right there. So I was looking at this about 12.75. A break above 12.75 I kind of figured would bring in volume. I just didn't expect it to bring in as much activity as it did. So let me remove these lines for you guys. And if you do have a big account size and you like trading trend lines, then this was definitely the chart for you. You definitely made some serious money. So here's the trend line. Now, trend line trading is not for me. I'm not a big fan of trend line trading, simply because of the fact that it's just pure mental. So if it falls below that trend line, then that's when you sell it. And sometimes you have these little bottom out, these little fake outs underneath the trend line here. So if you're an experienced trader and trend line trading is your thing, you would have made a ton of money here, because you buy the trend line when it bounces off the trend line, you sell when it starts to get extended over the trend line. And as you guys can see here, every single time it ran up, it came right back down to the trend line until it eventually cracked, popped up one more time, and then it just fell underneath of it. So if I extended this out a little more, as you guys can see, it's underneath that trend line now. So this is where it starts to get unpredictable here. I mean, if you guys look, you have support at around $14, and then you have that resistance mark somewhere around this $15 mark here. I'm not really quite too sure now, because it's We're approaching afternoon hours. It's 10:30 right now at the time of me recording this video. So it is above that resistance mark, but it's looking very, very heavy. So I'm not sure if I would want to be buying it up here because it just doesn't look clean anymore. The volume's probably turning away from it. This thing was $8 in pre-market, and now it's all the way up to $15.60 at the high. So a lot of the attention on the stock has probably already been faded away because, as you guys can see, it broke that trend line, bounced off 15 bucks for a little bit, and then it's just kind of sideways. I mean, if you really wanted to, you can draw another trend line about probably about like right there or so. And as you guys can see, it is forming higher lows. So that part of it does look appealing. It did channel for a little bit, and it did break out of that resistance level. So if you really wanted to, you could probably buy if it comes back down and touches this resistance level again, and maybe have your sell order ready for when it goes underneath that resistance level. But as for now, this stock is just, I feel like it is way too overextended. And even though I said this could potentially be the next DRYS, and it might have another day to run, we never know, because DRYS is a completely different ticker symbol as opposed to ETRM. So I mean, if you are the type of person that likes to trade and likes to have the adrenaline off the gambling and the risk, then who knows, maybe you can pick up 5, 10, 20, 30 shares in hopes that it can squeeze up to the previous resistance mark of $31 or $29 or whatever that may be, and you might end up getting lucky. But when I'm trading stocks, I'm not here to get lucky. I'm here to trade predictable chart patterns like this one, and as you guys can see, it is ended up breaking out above this level here. So if you like channels, if you like trend lines, this is definitely the stock for you. This is so predictable. Let's just do a quick lesson here. So say my account size wasn't 1,300 bucks. Say it was something a little bit more. So my first buy order probably would have been a little bit over $11 once I seen it bottom out here. So maybe about like $11.25, let's say. So my first buy order would have been at $11.25. It ran up to there, maybe sell, because as you guys can see, it started to extend off of that trend line there. So maybe a good sell time would have been $11.50. So or $12.50. So from $11 to $12.50, that would have been perfect execution. As you guys can see, it got sideways again. It dropped back down to that trend line. Where do you buy? Around $12. Where would your stop loss be? Under that trend line. And then this one was a very nice ride. It just kind of stayed on this line. It didn't get too far extended up, and it just kind of went sideways up the trend line, which is also a very beautiful thing to do. And as you guys can see, it got the volume above 14 bucks. It got extended off the trend lines, kind of went sideways a little bit, and then it came back down. So where would you sell when it got a little bit extended? So probably around that $15 mark. $15 mark, $14.50, anywhere around there. So that would have been another crazy good buy if you were to just trade that trend line there. And then if you wanted to, you probably could have ended up buying again off that $14.30 mark with the stop loss being underneath that trend line. So you would have probably ended up stopping out. Again, if you really felt like taking the risk on this stock, even though you would probably realize that the resistance level is there, so maybe the break of that $15.20 mark, whatever that may be, you probably could have taken another trade. It may have not worked out for you. You probably might have gotten stopped out. But if you look at it, 11 bucks to 12.50, and then $12 all the way up to 15. Those two wins alone, depending on your share size, will cancel out these two losses any day of the week. And also, if you wanted to take a trade in this channel, you could have probably ended up buying above the high of 15 bucks. And then who knows where this is going to go. We could see this at 20 by the end of the day. There's really no truly telling with these supernovas and these huge short squeezes that we've been seeing recently in the markets. And seeing as it is the start of the new year, people are looking on trades to jump on. So that's how come I feel like we are seeing this stock run as hard as it is moving right now. It's just really painful to see this stock go. I don't really feel like chasing this, but it's such a beautiful chart pattern. It's very, very predictable. We may have a possible bull flag forming, or we did have a possible bull flag forming right there for a little bit. So I don't know. It's just a very beautiful stock. Very beautiful stock. So if I was, when this thing was first moving, my first buy order was at $3 and I missed it. Now I'm not saying I would have held until 16.30. I probably would have sold at like $4. But just the massive potential in this stock is ridiculous. And the fact that it is setting up to look like a DRYS is just looking very crazy. And I don't remember the name of that other stock that ran from No, that's not the ticker symbol. But there was another stock that ran from like $4 to $80. And, you know, they all look the same. They have these 3 huge crazy days in a row, and then they just completely take off the next day. So, I mean, this is a good stock. It might have potential to run another day, but I'm not going to throw my money on that gambling because I do not like gambling. If I wanted to gamble, I would go to the convenience store and buy like a whole roll of $20 tickets. I'm not in this game for gambling. I'm in this game for experience, for practice, and for potentially maybe a job in the future. Anyways, that's my time for the day. I hope you guys did enjoy this video lesson. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below what you think this stock is going to be doing in the next couple of days. We could see this thing fall. You never know. Short sellers might get a hold of this and might drop it substantially. But as you guys can see, I mean, just insane gap ups the last couple of days. Anyways, it has been Devin the Day Trader here, and I'm signing off for the day. Thank you for watching, and have a fantastic rest of your day.